So thank you for the opportunity. Let's cover a little bit of social engineering. Sometimes I think we look always on the advanced vector of malwares or creating a search technique to attack some potential target, and we miss a very interesting point that you can accomplish everything just doing the basic. So I think taking your point on the IoT devices, I don't believe cars to be software driven in the future, because we are mixing security with safety, and there's two different things, right? One, you kill people, the other one, you keep the control of trust in the security environment. So yeah, I used to work on the financial institution for many years. I got a little bit tired, to be honest with you, too much regulated, and I don't think so. I'm kind of involved on my career in such a way become on cybersecurity. I'm kind of sometimes hands-on. I like this approach because it gives me some, I think, vision for the future. So I think I move from that, and I leave you guys that works on the fintech industry, on the banks, the big problem with APIs. Because on the one side, you have the old banks, yeah, very regulated. And the other side, we have the new fintechs, not so regulated, communicating by API. And the top of that, we have GDPR. So well done to you, good luck. It's gonna be very tough for you in the future, right? So I think let's start from the basics. When did we start with social engineering? Anyone has idea here? Any guess? When this social? Phone phreaking. Yeah. Give me a date. Any date, perhaps?
82.
Okay, 82. Anyone else? 70s.
1911.
Interesting. If I tell you that it was in 1834, is that right? Do you believe that? Yes. That, for doesn't know, was a French communication towers across whole France. And what it does is, if you send a communication from Bordeaux to Paris, take 5 hours to reach the destination. Okay, what has to do with social engineering? Simple. Two guys, right? There was a broker's brother. They found a way to transmit a positive and negative signal in the end of the transmission of every single message, bribing the guy. So using social engineering and bribing someone to send a message. So instead for them to be trading on the financial market, right, that took 5 days to a communication to arrive from Bordeaux to Paris, they are taking 5 hours, gaining a lot of money on the competition. And they did that for many, many years. Interesting. So that's how we start hacking, even before computer was there. So this is a human behavior, right? So it's good to understand this fact first, yeah? So I think social engineering is very impactful. And I did some exercise, and I'm going to demonstrate what I did on the smart renewables and why I like to be there right now. Because for me, it's a new set, it's a baby, it's a kind of a new toy for me to learn about it. Because no one really cares about security. Are we talking about critical infrastructure? Because one thing, if you have a server and you have a problem, you probably can shut down the server, right? Simple, right? Major. But if you have a problem on the critical national infrastructure, on the grid, how do you stop the grid? Right? Bingo, there's a problem there. No one really look at it. SCADA, no one really control system on SCADA. No one really cares about SCADA. Why for, right? And how do I attack London, for example, on the critical national infrastructure, right? So if I want to attack the grid on electricity, it's very hard, I have to say. You have to get a bazooka and shoot 3 stations in order to bring down the critical grid. But the problem is, the old generators, there is no more engineers around. They got age, and they haven't replaced yet. Potentially speaking, there is a problem coming on our door. Because the new generation of generators is coming and it's going to be smart, for sure. But the old generation, if for something someone take a bazooka and hit the 3 pillars of London electricity, will take 8 months to rebuild. We're done. We're dead. Yeah, everyone's going to be moving out of London, right? But sometimes you don't need to get a bazooka and doing this kind of thing. And I'm not advising anyone to do that, by the way. Yeah. So I can stop, on the winter time, getting the gas. right? Gas is smarter. If I attack the gas and I make the gas stop, you guys are going to use what? Electricity. The grid cannot cope with the demand, you black out the country. Sometimes you don't need to look the vector to attack the electricity. You can look some other effect that will have the knock effect on the grid. So sometimes you have to think in other verticals. So let's talk about the cybercrime. Yeah, let's talk about the numbers. I think we live in a digital economy, and I think Dr. McGuire, I think on the RSA, did kind of come with a new capitalism, a modern, right? Based on the digital. And I think for us, we have to understand who wants to attack us and why. Basically, I don't need to give you probably too much, but it's money. And data costs generate some money from Facebook, yeah, for Cambridge Analytics. Why did the guys hasn't faced prison on the Cambridge Analytics? We are not prepared. We are not mature enough in terms of regulations yet. At that time, perhaps. Or even if you do, who remember Uber? That actually prefers to deal with the crooks instead to actually face the consequence. And then actually they found out that it's better for us to wash our, our dirty clothes. So I think probably today the cybercrime is driven by money. And I don't think so today we can cope with the help desks or telemarketing that becomes like a cyber threat to our organization. Yes, they have a guide. They follow the guide to attack you, to make money. Because two guys, clever guys, say, let's use these guys from a different world or underdeveloped country in order to attack you. Of course, they are making a fortune, right? So just to give a comparison from his research, we are talking about 1.5 trillion yearly. That's the cybercrime. By the way, no VAT, right? Just to compare, is higher than Australia GDP. So the cybercrime makes more money than the entire country. And the problem with the cybercrime, they are so organized and established and dividing groups in different world, in different countries. That means very difficult for you to catch someone. You never heard about Russia being introduced or Chinese, right? And that's what happened when something that you haven't prepared for it or you ignore the fact. I guarantee you something. Many times I went to a meeting rooms where you see some people from the board. They don't understand, sometimes they do. But they kind of bluff on you, say, why we need cybersecurity? This is cost. Give me the ROI for this, return of investment. I think you should go back when they have a breach. Then they will understand the return of investment. Because then they beg you, please help me. What do you want me to do? I don't do miracles. I'm sorry, right? And the funny aspect of that, who remembers Sony Entertainment? When they had the breach, it took them months to restore the whole network. They didn't have qualified personnel to restore the network. So here we go, a very good typical example of a return of investment. Or your shares, right? And from there, I have a question for you again, because I like to make this question over and over again and see if we improve or we didn't improve. Today we have GDPR. I'm not so sure, but let's be honest. This is helping us to improve the maturity. Let's bypass the GDPR. Let's assume that your company have a breach right now. Who has a plan to deal with the breach? And let's imagine that you guys that are responsible for it is inside of an airplane. There is no communication to reach you to do what needs to be done. Who has a plan for it? Raise the hand. There we go. That's a quite interesting question. But everyone is trying to prepare GDPR. But let's imagine that the breach happened. Then what? Right? Okay, so let me take about the little bit storytelling, what I did on the supply chain. So I come from WISE, so I didn't like too much about the supply chain. I don't believe. Because for you to get to the bank, they check your background fully. But do they do for your supply chain? No. What is the point? Right? So what I did is, I create a Raspberry device, very professional with a label, as you can see here, right? And I say, let's test our supply chain. And this Raspberry device has a Telegram that actually, when it gets connected, automatically sends a message and connects to my cloud on Azure. Azure, why Azure? Why do I need to sound suspicious or seem suspicious? Everyone connects with Azure. It's a VPN. So I create a tuner to this device where I can take control of the entire plant, right? So the idea was, let me package this, let me create a person, right? I create the name Juan. Actually, my name is Juan Rafael, but I impersonate Juan at this time. And I get in touch with that person using spear phishing. Try to pretend that I have a communication from someone of my company that I didn't have. And saying that actually we are sending a device to measure and to be using machine learning to be better on what we do. And actually we got approval from the tech team to send to you to feed this device inside of our plant. By the way, Juan is not knowing in my entire company. Even the technical team, no one was aware. And this is a kind of a proof of concept. Package, very nice package, very nice email, and actually I send to the contractor. I send via UPS. So as soon as he sign, I have a notification the guy got the package. I call, hey, when are you gonna do this fitting for me? I really need. They are on my top. Make believable. Get the trust. Most difficult part on security is trust, right? And assume you wouldn't give your mobile to him with all the passwords because it's a matter of trust. It's the same concept, right? So guess what happened? The guy, yes, next day I'm gonna send an engineer there. And I was really excited, waiting for things, come on, plug this device there, and bingo, there we go. Up, running, sending me the IP, the external IP, and actually social engineering was effective. By the way, I didn't have to bribe no one. I haven't need to go to a site. I just actually generating the trust of the person. From that trust, I say, okay, let's push a little bit forward. Let's see if I can gain access into the plant. So I call him again. I call him again and say, listen, I need to go there and change in this device. Yeah? And he said, okay, fine. I plan a day, I text him. I suppose not to go by myself, just myself, because I don't have insurance into a plant, because it's a high electricity and so on, so far, so on. So what happened is, actually, he sent me the key number for key locker, and he said, it's fine. Just help yourself. Take control. It's your plant. So, and there I was. So, but the funny thing is, since that I implement this device there, I found myself that I wasn't not a single person there. I found there was a camera. Yes, IoT on the CCTV already being exploited inside of the perimeter. I was thinking, yes, I got inside, but actually someone was there already. Yeah, using Coin Hive inside of one of our IoT. So interesting, right? Then I think, I don't have the other one? Okay. Then the other situation that we come across on another IoT that we don't have here, I think the presentation didn't come fully, is we found out when my guys from my technical team trying to access the camera, there was a malware trying to inject back into the computer. Interesting, right? So I think the point that I want to establish with you guys, social engineering can be very impactful. And sometimes people don't believe that. So what I do, I use my board, my executives, my friends, and I make them to be aware, showing the case, even for a normal person, right? So as I mentioned before, how many times I went to meetings, they actually found out a little bit more complicated in order to deal with cybersecurity. They don't want to listen. They don't have time for it. And if I show this, probably they're going to say boring. Give me numbers. I want numbers. How are you going to reduce our risk? Yeah. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much. Very short presentation, but that's it.